Hey, what's going on, freedomers and missionaries? Today we're gonna be talking about the drunken lover, Venus and Pisces, mission-based astrology 333. All right, so I have this placement, so this is very intuitive, very Venus and Pisces. Like a lot of this is based off my spirit and somewhat off of my experience, and we're gonna talk about it because yesterday I was listening to Wale Virgo. A song by him on his newest album about falling in love, and this idea came to me. Very Pisces, like listening to music. I was walking, listening to music. That's very Piscean, like walking, listening to music. Give and receive. Giving is a lot easier to giving is a lot is easier than giving is easier than receiving. Before I go into this concept, I want to talk about I want to talk about uh, giving and receiving your own power. And what that means is, hold on, let me get some more. Giving and receiving in your own power. And I'm doing this at 111, so I know this is supposed to be a new sector in my life. Venus and Pisces type of stuff, right? To notice that, right? So, and again, some water, Pisces water. You get me? Synchronicities. Three is not, it's ruled Jupiter, but it's because 1 + 1 + 1 is 3. So even though 3 doesn't rule Pisces, Venus rules Jupiter, but Jupiter co-rules Pisces. Um, so so being a spiritual teacher, this is what I'm doing, etc., just the alignments. But I didn't write it in this presentation, but I want to talk about it because it came to me this morning while I was doing my grounding meditation. You have to learn as a Venus and Pisces, or even really major Pisces placements, to to give and receive your own power. And what does that mean? I've come to the understanding that I give a lot of my power away, whether it be through teaching, whether it be through talking, whether it be through not reading, but whether it be through talking, teaching, sharing with my friends. Like I would call them just to give them downloads that I received about them or this situation or whatever, and that's giving away your power. Every time you talk to somebody about something, that's giving away your energy or your power, because your energy is your power source, right? And I've come to the understanding that with Pisces being so unconditional, because this placement it rules unconditional love, or learning that at least, you have to learn to give and receive your own power. Because if you're always giving away your power to anybody or to anything that doesn't give you beneficial reciprocity, or that you don't receive in a fashion that makes sense, or you're in the words of Neville Goddard of Pisces, you're spending your power, you're spending your energy instead of investing it, meaning investing it in places that is coming back to you and is giving you a profit, that's giving you a life that you deserve. Then you're gonna spend your life in a victim mode. And Pisces is known for being a victim, and when they don't know their power. So to escape, and that's a key word with Pisces, not to escape, to not get in a position of being in escapism, you have to learn to give and receive your own power. So you know when you're giving something to somebody, what they can handle and what they can't handle. And the simplest way to explain that is not giving a piece of chicken to uh to a 5-year-old, to a 5-month baby, or to a 2-month baby who don't have no teeth to eat, to even chew anything, right? And they need to drink solid. They need to be on their mother's breast milk, etc., etc. And you're giving them a piece of chicken to eat on their own, and then you get upset at the fact that they're not eating it. And the daydream about Pisces is that they'll be so mad about why they're not eating it, instead of like realistically saying they can't handle that. So the chicken is your power. It may carry nutrition. It may carry everything that they need to grow and develop and feed their hunger. But if they can't handle that at the stage in their life that they're at, you're wasting your time imagining and fantasizing of those are key Pisces words, fantasizing and imagining that they're something that they're not. So you have to practice what you preach. And that's another thing that came to me in the spirit today, was that when you practice what you preach, you're receiving your own power. And when you receive your own power, you understand what you can give and what you cannot give. When you don't receive your own energy and your own source and it doesn't reflect in your life, it's hard to say, oh, it's hard to be like, when you give to somebody, it's hard. You get no. It's getting mad. You will get less upset or emotional about something when you know somebody can't handle it. You just know what to do for the next time. So, or you know what to do in the present moment because you have received your own power. So I've learned through my grounding meditation, putting my bare feet on the ground, on the grass, that receiving is more disciplinary than giving. Reason why that, I think it's a balance, but when you receive, it's easy to give. But if you never receive, you can never give. That's the wild part about the give and receive concept. You can never give properly and integrally if you never received. And what does that mean? If you never received your parent a certain amount of confident, learning how to be confident at home, learning how to be, um, learning how to be confident in yourself, learning how to love properly, etc., from home, you can't. It's hard for you to give that to the world if you've never received it. Like my parents, and it says there's a little bit of this here. A lot of the times, like for instance, my parents, because I'm in my Pluto in the fourth house, couldn't love me properly because they didn't receive it from their own parents. So they could never give me what they never received. They never got emotional support, probably until this day. And on my dad's side, both of my parents is dead. So my parents probably never got real emotional support from my grandparents, probably until they were older, where they can't even really do much. And yeah, they helped us as children, but emotional support, as in, that's the best that they did. But when the years that formed their life, not really. Um, outside of them having children. So when you never receive that in the years that form your life, that's really hard, challenging to give to your child if you never receive that type of love. You literally have to go learn it, study it, Virgo. You have to go analyze it. You have to see those behaviors, those habits, what it really looks like to love a certain way, and then mimic and then do the habit. But you can't do that if you never ever received it before. You just can't. It's foreign to you. And receive is the subconscious, give is the conscious. So if your subconscious has never seen it before, it won't act on it, because it's the kind of the supercomputer of your life, the the part of your brain that rules your life, or your mind that rules your life, is your subconscious, the receiver, the receptor. So receive, so to give, To be given anything is a lot easier than it is to receive. Receiving has a lot stronger stain than giving. Uh, yes, giving can have a huge impact on a person, place, or thing, but receiving is cousins or brothers to management. Like when you receive something, you actually have to most likely manage it. You also have to cultivate it and control it and love it, etc., etc. Love on it and cultivate it and build with it. Um, um, for instance, the fact that oh no, hold up. Yeah, I said that just now. Okay, so three. Every person in my life has a pattern of emotional abandonment. So that also comes with yes, the Pluto, but also Venus and Pisces, where Pisces can be very emotionally distant and dismissive and avoidant. And I've realized that with people in my life, but it's also teach me the spiritual lesson of delving deeply within myself and loving myself appropriately. I forgot the meme that said why you attract these types of people. But and four, you lose everything you don't become vibrationally. So like in other words, if you become wealthy, if you don't become wealthy vibrationally, you lose it. And that's the major lesson of this sign in this placement. If you don't become what the love you want, the money, because Venus also rules how much money you get, the money you want, etc., etc. If you don't become that vibrationally, you will lose it, and you won't understand it's part of your shadow work that you have to do, or your the darker side of yourself per se. Principles for the unconscious. Excuse me. Pisces rules the unconscious. So I believe Cancer is the subconscious. Scorpio, no. Pisces is the subconscious. Uh, and um, Pisces is no. Cancer is the conscious. Pisces is the unconscious. I don't believe Cancer is the unconscious. I think that is fucking retarded. Cancer is the moon. It is not possible. When you ever look at very successful Cancers and very successful Pisces, they have two different realms of the world. Pisces do talk about the subconscious, of course, but a lot of them talk about unconscious behavior. A lot of them talk about what you're not doing, that what happened in your past which you don't see. Like in other words, if your parents abused you, that's unconscious. So you don't see that when you see a person. You don't see the fact that they've been raped, abused, verbally abused, emotionally abused. You don't see those unconscious things. So you don't see why they treat you a certain way, because they unconsciously have absorbed the habits that their environment has given them. The subconscious, you do see. Like in other words, when I say the subconscious, you do see, meaning like their uh, cultivation of habits. You see that forms their consciousness, their actual action, the manifestation of their actions. So you may attract, or you will attract, lovers that reveal your unconscious habits. And lovers could exchange for friends, business partners. It doesn't matter. People who you deal with will reveal your unconscious habits, behaviors, and past. You become very you be until you have to become very you have to become very that's a whole error. You have to become very conscious of your habits and not get drunk in the people that you're around, or whether it be your lover, your partner, your friend, and understanding they're showing you your shadow self. And I say this because I spent so many of my years because I'm a Venus and Pisces, in the shadow, almost drunk and intoxicated, in my parents, in my friends, in my close my people I deal with on a regular basis, not knowing they're the shadow work that I have to do, or I have to release, or I have to grow past that trauma. Instead of getting deeply intoxicated, and intoxicated in this sense means that you're out. You're fully unaware. You're fully doing what's unaware or unconscious to you. So, in other words, for me, I would walk and talk to myself unconsciously or think unconsciously about my parents, my friends, and all, and it would consume my mind wholly and entirely, where it would distract me for hours and days at a time and years, distract me from me. My unconscious would distract me from progress. So if until I became conscious of these unconscious behaviors, habits, and what they came to show me and teach me and help me understand, um, um, I was just walking around unconsciously thinking about things and doing things. Shadow work is pivotal when it comes to this placement because they need to see their shadow and the shadows that have been impressed upon them. Because Pisces, Venus and Pisces leads you to be very um, vulnerable. So, I mean, vulnerable and impressionable. So, being alone, reflecting on what happens is pivotal. And this is one of the greatest tools of my life, where I spend so much time alone. It gives me time to think. It gives me time to see what's not mine and what's mine. I also said this in this lecture: what's mine and what's not mine. It's so pivotal to understand what's yours and what's not yours. What's been impressed upon you. When you get the unconscious conscious, you can manifest a life you truly desire, you truly want, because now you're unconscious about what's been happening. Journaling is pivotal for this sign in the writing out their love life, writing out their life period, um, or even manifesting the love that they want or the money that they want. Do your best to uncover the habit. Journaling can help you do your best to uncover the habits that through isolated levels of writing. And what that means is, like, for instance, I had to put my phones in the other room so I can finish this presentation, because my phone puts me in a level of Pisces energy, where my Saturn, which rules my career, can put me in a level of distraction where my phone is my drug of choice. So it can and food. So it can put me in a place of distraction and just be escaping my reality instead of actually working and building and growing and teaching my craft, etc., etc. So I read a quote by when I was on YouTube, and it sparked something in me that she was talking about a writing webinar, and uh, it's by, and of course I wrote this down, by Joyce Carol Oates. The great enemy of writing is distraction. And I didn't even finish. I knew she was about to say distraction. Because it's true. Whenever my conscience stops flowing when it comes to writing, it's because I get distracted. Literally, like when I'm in the flow and I'm writing and writing and writing and even typing, like this came out so much faster than it would have if I had my cell phone in my right hand, just looking at Instagram typing. It just flowed. The greatest enemy of and I wrote the greatest enemy of creation is distraction. And I actually had to delve in and say what's the difference between concentration and focus. And the main difference is concentration is a effort that is unconscious, meaning it doesn't need attention. It doesn't matter what the attention's about. It doesn't matter if it's interested. It's an unconscious effort that is it is a consistent, constant. It is a consistent, unconscious effort towards something, person, place, or thing. Focus is a conscious effort towards a person, place, or thing. That is especially based on focus. I mean, especially based on interest or attention. So if your focus can easily shift based on something that has a way bigger attention, and a great example of that is When you're focused on something, if something of greater attention comes your way, your focus changes. So if a bullet is coming your way, and you're focused on, let's say, writing your book and you're writing your journal, if you see the bullet, or if you see the car coming, let's say, for instance, say a bullet, let's say you see a car coming, you'll drop your book and run, get out the way, right? But if you're concentrated, it won't even matter if that car is coming. You'll continue writing and get hit by the car because you was in such you unconsciously trained in your concentration. So again, another example of that, without getting too deep, is your phone. Like I just said, you can be focused on your phone, or you can be concentrated on your phone. When you're in deep concentration with your phone, you'll be scrolling or just be on your phone to be on your phone. And nothing else in the world would matter. You're so into your phone that it's almost just you and the phone in the room. When you're focused on your phone, it just has your attention at the current moment. It's just something to pass the time, or something of interest. It's just a place you put your effort. But if something else came to mind, it would take it would take the focus of your phone away. But if you're concentrating on your phone, nothing else matters but you and what's going on the phone. And sometimes what's going on the phone doesn't even really matter. It's just you and the phone. Um, and why is that important? Because the Pisces can be so deeply concentrated, especially in this placement, can be so deeply concentrated on a person, place, or a thing that it's unconscious. So, and not realizing you're just seeing your shadow. So that's why I say you can become deeply intoxicated, and that's why I call it the drunken lover, because you'll become deeply intoxicated talking about you'll become deeply intoxicated. You'll become deeply intoxicated about a person, or people in your life, and it's just unconscious. And you're revealing. You know how they say a drunken man tells no tales, because he's revealing his unconscious. So, um, so Pisces and journaling. When you don't become conscious, when you don't become conscious of your unconscious, you will blame others and become the victim. Very Piscean, like you become emotionally unavailable to the person that you love the most, or people you love the most, or things you love the most, and become so engulfed in the person's world that you forget your own. You forget yours. Now, sometimes this is bad. This is good if it's doing something, again, like Neville Goddard would say. If you're investing, like if you're writing your book and you're so engulfed in writing your book that nothing else matters, sometimes that's good because it's an actual investment. But when it comes to people, because people will forsake you, this can become a negative, because at any moment people can disappear, whether they die, whatever. Um, Know it is your belief system that attracts your life. So sign your beliefs, and become accordingly. So, like for instance, I've said into my world, I attract beautiful, strong, powerful black women. Also, with this placement, most of your friends will be with females, and that's really true in my life as well. All of my friends are female. Get to know the psychology of love, especially if you want multiple lovers, because with this placement, especially because I have it in the ninth house, you can practice polygamy. Doing that shadow work work can define who you attract and also who you keep. um it is because my Saturn's in the Pisces in the eighth house. I'm obsessed. I have an obsession with writing. So also consider, because of this placement, a career in writing or blogging. You understand that it is the overall consciousness of love, and you can be so drunk that you completely get intoxicated. That you can completely get intoxicated. Um, where you don't understand if it don't understand that there is a reality to answer to. So, because you also understand the higher concepts of love, but you can become so drunk in love, um intoxicated with love. Because sometimes they say this, the most powerful emotion is love and sex, and from when uh, Napoleon Hill said so. Because you can become so intoxicated, because you can displacement can easily go out your way, and I've done it where I become such a martyr for the people who were a martyr for me. I don't say weren't, but they weren't a martyr on the level that I was a martyr. And well, it depends on who you're speaking to, but you can become a martyr for people that don't have that same energy for you. And you can even put your life on the line for people who don't put their life on the line for you. So you can become so intoxicated that you don't understand there is a reality to answer to, meaning you have to deal with the real world no matter what. You can become you can become very empathic towards your lovers, your friends, associates that you deal with. So with so much you can travel to distant lands and daydream about them. So meaning you can astral project and see them. You can get into their auric field and feel how they feel, etc., etc. You have to be very careful. They may not feel the same way about you, and you have to make sure of that through questioning, through listening, through paying attention. Do they actually feel that way about you and actually act on it? Make sure it is that way, because and also communicate how you need to be, how you desire to be loved. That's one of the things I learned from recently from a Sagittarius, where she's like, yo, make sure you communicate, yo, I require this, that, and the third from you. So one of the things that you want to do as a Pisces and Venus is being able to communicate what you need. Because if you don't communicate what you need, and that's what I'm learning as well, because I never really got associated with what I need. So if you can't communicate what you need with the people you love or the people you deal with, so you can also understand what what they are not and willing to give. And sometimes the best way to do this is even just pay attention to people, what they're not willing and willing to do, and actually accept that, and do what you need to do to live that, to live based on that understanding. You have to make sure that you're not asking a person to love you and can't, because they've never received that type of love. Like I said earlier, be careful not to ask a person for love that they will never or don't intend on loving you that a certain way. Accept it and move on. This is one of the deepest scars in my life, especially coming from my ex-best friend, where she may have had feelings for me in a certain way, but she didn't express it. So when things don't come to manifest, that means it's foo la la. It's bullshit. It's daydreaming. So if a person doesn't intend on loving you, or whether it be especially if you don't have that type of covenant, and covenant means a contract. That means agreement. Covenant means agreement. So if you don't have a certain agreement with somebody, do your best not to assume it. Assume agreement, and that's one of the things I'm recently learning. Don't assume agreement if it was never spoken. Let me say that again. Don't assume agreement if it was never spoken, if it was never communicated that this is what it is and this is what's going to happen. Because I recently had that with a friend of mine, where I assumed something that she would do for me, and we never spoke on that. That's how we're going to roll. So it keeps you in a certain level of self accountability to make sure your needs are met by you. You have the ability to do empathic listening and telepathic messaging with the person or people you love or passionate about. You for your own sake, keep your mind at home. And I got that from the Science of Getting Rich, meaning keep because the mind has the Pisces has the great ability to daydream into other people's world, and all that other stuff. So do your best to keep your mind, or simply mind your business. If it's not really an investment in your future, and it's not something that's keeping you profitable, not something that's keeping you in the plus of life, like, keep your mind at home. Keep your mind where it needs to be, because you don't. The worst thing I'm getting a good grip on this is not to let your mind wander, like wander into places that don't go anywhere, and that don't have any profitable, any real positive progress. That's the word, other word for profitable. Any positive progress, because and a good one to listen to is Neville Goddard's Sound Investment. Neville Goddard's Sound Investment. and to understand that if it's not a positive progress, leave it alone. Because you'll fuck around as a Pisces and daydream and displacement and daydream and love and all this fancy stuff, and it's not fucking going nowhere, and tomorrow is still the same as it is today. And that person, place, or thing don't plan to change, or it's not going to change no matter how much you imagine it. And I think even Elon Musk has said about that, about entrepreneurship, is doing what we imagined can happen and actually dealing with the facts. So do your best to actually deal with the facts. Um, um, Listen to Neville Goddard. Listen to imagine them in their best, at their best. If you can't get the love you need from them, imagine them at their best and let them go. And see them what they could be, not what they should be, in the best ways that you can, in a way that makes sense. See what they could be, not what they should be. But don't over imagine where it's not reality. They'll never become it. Because after 25, the prefrontal cortex becomes solid, so everything is a choice. You have the courage to let them go and learn to love them so profoundly that you don't need learn to love yourself so profoundly that you don't need someone else who doesn't feel the same way about you to love you. Don't put yourself in a position to be a victim, and because you have low self-esteem or low confidence, low trust in self, or you talk bad to yourself, so you talk so bad about yourself and to yourself that um that you're not uplifting yourself, etc., etc. um I have Venus in Pisces, in the sign of Pisces, so it means that you have to find your love. You find your love traveling or even leaving your home. In a foreign travel may be as simple as leaving from New York to Atlanta, because Atlanta's a foreign place to me. Unconscious habits is the ability to do something without thinking. This is deeper than impulse, but this was the habit developed or impressed upon you over and over and over again, or what you got from past lives, depending on how deep you are. Um, the people who taught you how to love may have unconscious habits that don't serve you. Don't pick them up, because you're easily impressionable, and unconscious is, again, that place where you don't. It's not even your subconscious where things operate, where things form. Your unconscious is just things that is solid, that's stuck, and you have to literally put it in your subconscious and then your conscious. So your unconscious is that place that's that deep, deep soil, and you have to dig it up and release it. Um, and learn your love languages is important. Google your 5 love languages. I think it's powerful. It's important that you know how you love. Yes, these can change over time, especially as you spiritually and emotionally mature. Learn who doesn't want to grow, and this is the one for me. Listen to those who don't want to grow and expand with you. So, meaning you'll have to go or move on by yourself. Pisces, those rules, uh, 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 um, isolation. Pisces co-rules Jupiter, so it rules expansion and growth. Don't be so intoxicated in the lover that you become indecisive, because Pisces can be indecisive. You're moody when it comes to this to love, so you can go from up to down really, really fast in love. Um, Being a water sign, so it leaves you to be unpredictable, which can be the good for the bad. So though this comes to money and love, you can use your imagination to develop your life and get the life you want. But remember, like I said earlier, you keep what you vibrationally are on. So use it to your best benefit, so you can grow and help, and it helps you and people. So it is. So use it to in your best benefit, so you can grow and help you get high off life and not into drugs or into scandalous media, or get with people who help you get high off life and not just get into drugs and scandalous media. You can attract partners and become where you have to become their spiritual teacher, and show them the spiritual side of life, because Pisces is the most spiritual sign. And I've done this with every person that I've met. It's fucking ridiculous. Um, so so um, sorry. Whatever. The best spiritual teachers lead with their lives and not best form. Um, oh, that's why. The best spiritual teachers lead with their lives, not with their lecture. So do your best so to not get intoxicated with people. Lead with your life, and don't be afraid to leave people behind. And a Pisces man taught me that very profoundly. He led with his life, and he wasn't afraid to leave me behind. Because he knew I wasn't on his level, and that's something that he accepted when he listened to me long enough. Know the difference between don't consume them and fall under the illusion of Pisces word that you can force them where you think you can force them to change or be what they would be, or they be what you imagine them to be. You can't. You're never gonna change them. And yes, imagination can do its work, but the best thing you can do is lead with your life. Know your flaws and balance things out. Know the difference between your energy and the people's energy and people's around you's energy. Amethyst is the closest stone to Neptune, so that can help you balance your energy. And Pisces is quite impressionable, especially in this state of. So weed out the people who would take care of your sensitive nature. When you're young, you tend to be bossed around a lot. Because you're sensitive and you're really trying to give people and naive, so you're trying to give people the highest benefit of the doubt, and that's why it helps to learn psychology and astrology, so you don't get fucked around. Um, you need to learn to discern who drains you and who elevates you. It is best for you to avoid those that are detached, speaking of things casually. I can't tell you how serious that is. Avoid people who don't want to dive deep. Avoid people who are very emotionally dismissive and try to act like shit don't matter and try to play with your emotions, and because they know you feel deep, they want to play with you. You don't want to linger around with harsh, abrasive people, with those who are wrapped up in the mundane. That too, you don't want to be too wrapped around people who are boring, um, and don't see the fun and the artistic side of life. Who are super, super, super critical of you. Um, you're drawn to the artists and the dreamers of the world. If you want to book a session and again dive deeper into your love sign, your Venus sign, go to bit.ly/astrology form, and this will be in the description. Go to bit.ly/astrology form. Peace.